Quick note before we get started, hit the like button and subscribe to make sure that you receive updates going forward. There are going to be more tutorials about various functions within Excel, and it's a great way to make sure that you catch all of them. So with that, we're going to hop right in. This is a pretty standard spreadsheet looking at office expenses. This might be a factory or say like an engineering firm. So the way to find the total for these expenses from January all the way to April, you always start a function in Excel with equals. So you're going to equal, and then instead of writing total, you're actually going to write sum, S-U-M. Then Excel is going to ask you, well, what do you want to add? So you're going to click on January, then just drag all the way across to February. And then close parentheses, see here, and then hit enter. So that gives you $850. Now there are two ways to do this. You can either double click to apply the formula all the way down the column here, column G, or since it's a little smaller, you can just drag it. You'll see that it's filled in as well for January, and if you click on the function, you can see it did the same thing. So equal sign here, sum, and then telling Excel which cells I want to add. And here you'll see the total, which again I dragged across. So really simple, really straightforward for adding sum and finding totals. This is a really good exercise if you are doing monthly expenses or if your company's doing a deeper dive into where revenue's coming from, where you might be losing revenue as well. So let's take a look at the average function. Same thing, you're going to put in equal sign, and as you type average, you'll see that Excel is offering to fill in the function for you. So it's a little shortcut. You can write it or you can click on that. The next thing is still the same step, right? So you're going to select column C4 or column C, and then start with C4 and just drag all the way down to C12. And you're going to close parentheses, and you can see the average is $154. Now that's just for January, and that's for all the expenses that we have reported. The way to find out what it is for each month is to do the same thing we did with the sum function and drag it all the way across the cells where we want to apply that formula. And you can see Excel is pretty smart there. So for February, it's about $213. For March, it's about $306. And for April, it's about $202. And then the average for each of the months that we have here is $880. So that's how you find totals. If your boss ever comes to you and says, hey, we want to know how much we're spending on such and such, now you can go through, and again, you'll use the sum function, equal, S-U-M, and then put in the field, the range that you want to cover. And for average, again, you can see here, average, open parentheses, close parentheses, and then you put in the fields that you want to select, which here is C4 all the way down to C12. Let's say your boss comes to you and says, hey, we want to figure out what is our smallest expense on our books right now. You can eyeball it with a table like this and say, hey, it's probably $20 that we're spending on welding in January. But if you have a larger data set, you'll really want to use a function for that. It's going to be much faster. So the way to do that, to find the minimum, is going to be min. You can see it has some typing. And you want to have open parentheses. And again, you always want to tell Excel, where do you want to look for the smallest value? So highlight C4 to C12, hit enter. Oh, so it's actually not $20 for welding. It's actually $13 for the service contracts in January. All right? So that's another reason why you don't eyeball. The same thing for max, the highest expense that you have for a month. You could eyeball this, but let's say you have a few thousand cells. What you really want to do is have the function do the work for you. So again, we're going to write max for maximum. It's the largest value in whatever range you select. And then you're going to select the range for your data, which in this case is C4 all the way down to C12. Then we hit enter. It's $500 for soldering. Seems like a lot for soldering, but who knows? It seems to be what it is for the business. Now, just like we did before, just going to drag this all the way across to see what's the most expensive item that we're billing for each month. And the same thing for the minimum. Click and then drag all the way across. And that's it. You're done.